So I always intended to go into investing or value investing or a hedge fund or something. My senior year of college, I had interned at a hedge fund, and one of the guys I had interned with sent me an article about Bitcoin. This was first semester of my senior year.
What year is this?
My immediate reaction, this is 2012. So my first reaction is that, Bitcoin's a scam. Like, that's the obvious reaction. It's like, okay, you can't get more pie in the sky than creating your own monetary system. So I set out to prove that Bitcoin was a scam, and, newsflash, it's not a scam. So, as I was going through my diligence process, I was like, okay, I can't explain why this won't work. And if there's just a 1 in a million chance this works, like, the market that it's disrupting is the biggest market there is. There's nothing bigger than value. Like, literally everything is a subcategory of value. So I should buy some Bitcoins. Like, the expected value of one Bitcoin is massive at a 1 in a million chance of it succeeding. So bought my first Bitcoins like November 2012, right around the halving. And I got super lucky because January 2013, the second bubble in Bitcoin history, my first bubble, starts to take off. And so second semester of my senior year, I almost dropped out of school. I stopped going to class. I stopped caring about anything like it. Seeing an investment go up 25x in value. It went from January 2013, I think we were at like $13. April 10th of that same year, we're at $260. So, investors, value investors, they hope like one investment in their entire career, maybe they'll make 10x. And I just made 25x over 4 months. I'm making more. I go to sleep at night, I wake up, I've made more money than I've ever even held in my, it just was a shocking experience. So, but then that bubble crashed. It went from 260 down to 50. And so I lost more money than I'd ever lost in my life at that point in time too. So I basically took a moment to do some reflection, and I was like, okay, am I getting caught up into something that is like a waste of my time? Is this the real deal? And I decided to go to what was basically the first Bitcoin conference ever happened, Bitcoin 2013, which happened in May of that year. And I went. I actually interviewed to be employee number 1 at Coinbase, and they turned me down. It was the brightest people I had ever met. And I felt like I had met really bright people at UA. I was in the fellows program. I had done internships at a venture capital group, at a hedge fund. I felt like I knew smart people. These people were next level smart. These were the nerdiest people you can possibly imagine. And they were working for free in their free time, in their garage, on contributing to some project, contributing to Bitcoin Core, building some sort of, the first iOS wallet app interface. And it was such an obvious signal of like, wow, all of these brilliant people are so passionate about the same thing, working for free, lying to their employer saying they're sick so that they can sneak away from work to come to this conference. Like, this has legs. Like, this is people that are passionate beyond whatever the price of Bitcoin is. And so I just decided, I didn't have much to lose. I'm just getting out of school, and I'll live with regret for the rest of my life if there was something that I could have been a part of that actually deeply aligned with my own personal beliefs of how freedom and financial access, worked. And for me to be there, to be able to be a part of that, and then just say no so I can go, work as a grunt at some financial firm. So I was just like, fuck it, let's do it. And so I went all in May 2013 and haven't looked back since. So I started with a magazine. I started a magazine called Why Bitcoin, which basically just explained what Bitcoin was. Did that because I didn't know what to do. And everyone was wondering, what is Bitcoin? Why would I want it? Where can I spend it? How do I store it? What is Bitcoin mining? It's the same questions again and again and again and again. So it's kind of like what you guys are doing here with this podcast. I wasn't smart enough to realize I should have done a podcast instead. So, I did a magazine. And that magazine became a vehicle through which I was able to meet interesting people, which I'm guessing is really what this podcast is for y'all as well. Mm-hmm. At that point in time, everyone was very open and accessible because everyone was broke. So when people are broke, they're a lot easier to talk to than when people, when their time is money. So I spent a couple years traveling the world, going to every Bitcoin conference, every Bitcoin meetup. Literally, I don't know. I mean, for a while, I definitely had the world record for number of Bitcoin conferences attended. Israel, Ireland, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, China, Japan, Korea, everywhere, which gave me a cool view into the Bitcoin ecosystem, how many different places it was growing, why it was growing in those places, which even though all of these communities would share certain ideological values, each community had a different reason why they love Bitcoin, which was interesting. Like in Argentina, they'd be like, oh, we love Bitcoin here because, there's a law that says we can only do 2 internet purchases per year on the internet without getting permission from the government. And it's like, that's not viable. But it's like, that's not how it is in the United States. So it's a completely different perspective on, we like Bitcoin as a payment tool. You go to China and it's like, we really struggle to make investments outside of the country. It's hard to get $10,000 or more out of the country. We like Bitcoin because we can buy a lot of it locally and we can send it wherever and get whatever money we want. So it just gave me a wide lens through which to understand Bitcoin, and just made me even more bullish on Bitcoin. Then, through those journeys, I became friends with a company called BitPay and some guys that were running a magazine, Bitcoin magazine, Vitalik Buterin and Mihai. And they wanted to go start this project, this Bitcoin 2.0 project that later became Ethereum, but they needed to divest Bitcoin magazine. So I bought Bitcoin magazine from them so that they could go do their thing. And so then I had Why Bitcoin and Bitcoin magazine. And then, before you knew it, I had the Let's Talk Bitcoin network, which I bought off Adam Levine. And he's kind of one of the OGs of Bitcoin, created the first Bitcoin podcast that he founded with Andreas, and created the first NFT, created the first quote token. Cool guy. And I started another media publication called Distributed, which was enterprise blockchain. And so for, I'd say 6 years of my career, I was hustling really hard and chasing whatever opportunities I saw. Rather than thinking really strategically, I was just always trying to make sure that we capitalized on where we saw the money. Because it was we were always bootstrapped. We were always trying to have to live off of what we made. So when enterprise blockchain became a big thing, it was we got to get something for the IBMs of the world, and we launched Distributed. When ICOs became a big thing, we started this business, ICO Age, out of China, which became the biggest ICO platform. So we were always chasing the latest fad. That worked really well for us for a while, but we ended up scaling our business from 1 person to 110 people. And in 2017, we made, I don't know, a lot of money. We made a lot of money, $500 million. A lot of money. 2018, we lost basically everything that we made. So that was a very painful experience, and I learned so many things from that. And we basically had to scale our organization down from 110 people to 20 people, which is just a horrific thing to go through. And I don't recommend it to anyone, but it does shape who I am today. So I am glad I went through it. In the darkest period of time of that process, it was what the fuck am I doing? I've made more money than I could ever imagine. I've almost lost as much money as I've made, and I'm losing it on businesses I don't even care about, that I don't even have conviction about. I got into this for Bitcoin. I have conviction around Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the real deal. I'm working with all these token projects. I know how the sausage is made. I'm not going to call them frauds. So, some of them, many of them are frauds. Some of them, we call it scamming yourself, where you convince yourself that this thing is a good idea. which is innocent, but doesn't make it a good idea. And so, we had all these businesses that we're like treating as if we cannot let them die. And we're taking our precious resources to deploy into them at the cost of, Bitcoin Magazine could go under. And it's like, whoa, we got to stop here. We need to go, if we're going to go bankrupt, we need to go bankrupt on something worth going bankrupt for. And, I'm going to live the rest of my life with regret if we lost it all, like betting on something that honestly, I don't even know why I was betting on it, versus if I went bankrupt betting it all on Bitcoin, like I will sleep soundly at night. And so we decided 2018, just divest everything, go all in on Bitcoin. So we sold, distributed, we divested ICOH. We had a project called Poet that we divested. I mean, brutal process, but we decided to bring back the Bitcoin conference. So we decided if we're going to focus on Bitcoin, we got to make the Bitcoin community fun, which at this point in time, we had just gone through a civil war and everything was like really fractured and mean and people hated each other. So it's like, let's make Bitcoin fun again. That was our slogan for 2018. And we launched the Bitcoin conference, which was the first Bitcoin only event that I'm aware of that wasn't a developer event since 2014. And we called it Bitcoin 2019. And that event was awesome. I mean, it was a really amazing moment when everyone was there. I still have people come up to me and tell me that Bitcoin 2019 changed their life and that they decided to go all in on Bitcoin and focus on Bitcoin at that event. And so, we had product market fit with that conference in a way that none of our other products had ever had product market fit. Like, how do you know if you have product market fit with your business? Like, if you don't know, you don't have product market fit. Like, when people are banging down your doors being like, when's the next conference? When's this happening? Like, I will rearrange my life for this. Like, that's product market fit. And so that validation from that was like, this is where we need to drill deep. And so we made, Bitcoin Magazine, Bitcoin only, the Bitcoin conference, Bitcoin only. We took our wallet business we were trying to build and we pivoted to a lightning wallet that we're still tinkering with. And then we launched a Bitcoin only value fund called UTXO. And it's hard to stay focused, but it's literally the smartest thing we ever did. It's the reason why we are having success now. And now our business is booming. And, I think that, BTC Inc. is probably, its portfolio of assets are probably, if not one of the most influential voices in the Bitcoin community. Our view is that everything is downstream from Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin has scaling problems, everything else has scaling problems. If Bitcoin has an issue with layer 2 stuff, everything else has an issue with layer 2 stuff. And so if you can be the most influential voice in Bitcoin, you're really the most influential voice in all of crypto, regardless of whether you cover all of the other stuff going on. All those other things are downstream. So, we've gone from, trying to salvage a business that almost went bankrupt. I mean, being weeks away from bankruptcy to, business is booming. We are very frugal, like that's ingrained into our culture now, but we've grown back up to 50 people, even with our extremely frugal mindset. The Bitcoin conference has become the largest Bitcoin event or crypto event in the world, bigger than Consensus, even though we're Bitcoin only, which shocked a lot of people because we turned away, we could have doubled the amount of sponsors that we had at this conference if we had allowed other stuff to sponsor. We turned away at least $10 million in sponsorships from companies that did not have a Bitcoin angle to what they were doing. And even though that seemed crazy, that's what made the event cool. And that's what made it unique. That's what made people want to be a part of it. And so again, it speaks to the power of being authentic and being focused. And like the fast money people, they're drawn to that. And as long as you're authentic and focused, they'll be there if you ever needed to go after them. But you're kind of destroying your golden cow, so to speak, if you do. So yeah, I mean that's my journey so far through crypto. Made money, lost money, grew businesses, shrunk businesses, grew them back again, we've done venture deals, we've done mining deals, we've done the enterprise blockchain thing. We did, ICOs, built tech projects. I mean, we've kind of done it all, and we've been burned in almost all the things that we've done. And that process of getting burned has shaped who we are today and why we are Bitcoin only. We don't consider, I say we, it's the royal we. I don't consider myself a Bitcoin maximalist because Bitcoin is like ordained by God, and all these other projects are just inferior. I'm Bitcoin only because I've seen how shitty and difficult it is to build a decentralized project, and the power of Bitcoin to be able to do that absent any marketing team, any DAO, any foundation, any everything that could go wrong with Bitcoin has gone wrong, and we're stronger than ever. So my naivety has been ground up into a pulp, and I'm just resigned basically to Bitcoin only. And I hope these other things are successful, but I'm skeptical on most of them.